At Stopko, they work hard to make bass sound the way it is. As the owner of an ROD500 head, I can confirm that I do hear and feel the full spectrum of my bass, the full uncolored spectrum of my bass. So when I heard about Stopko's brand new Overdrive, I was really anxious to test it. If I had to summarize this pedal in one word, it would be thick. But there's much more to say about it. Welcome back to The Wetterbass. If you're new here, please subscribe. The first observation that I'd like to make about the Alatyr is that to my ears and fingers, it falls more into the distortion category. I promise you I will explain why later on in the video. In fact, this pedal sounds like as if you plugged a tube screamer into a gained up tube amplifier. It's perhaps one of the most, if not the most touch-sensitive pedal I have ever tried. But the saturation starts at a quite noticeable level, even with the gain turned down. Hear it for yourself. There's a constancy in the driven sound that is remarkable. The pedal allows you to take control of its dynamics, and there's a direct relation between your fingers and the amount of distortion. Even at lowest gain, the saturation is consistent and predictable. Here's an example with slap. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, thick is the word to me that best describes this pedal's sound. With the gain at noon, the tone all the way down, and a touch of dry signal blended in, we really can appreciate this thickness. Another great asset of this pedal is how it takes hold of the mid frequencies in a mix and sculpts its character around it. However, when taking into account the added thickness of the saturation, the result is like a double-edged sword. Though mid-presence can facilitate being heard in a band with multiple instruments, it also tends to subdue treble presence and low-end growl. Remember when I said that this pedal sounds like a tube screamer running into a gained-up power amplifier? Well, here is an example to illustrate that. You could argue that you can blend in more of the clean signal to add some treble and bass, but it's not what this pedal asks of you. You could also argue that you can boost the lows and treble on your amp, kind of what I did in these sound samples, mixing 50% of the preamp and 50% of the cap sim on the Simplifier bass station. However, no fancy makeup will be able to alter the character of this pedal. So although blending both the dry and wet signal is extremely homogeneous on the Alatyr, the pedal begs to rock your sound with a blend at least above 11 o'clock. And when you raise the gain to max and the blend above 3 o'clock, you get an extremely articulate, clear, aggressive, and punchy response. Hear it for yourself in the Let's Doom part. Let's go straight to the point. The quality of this pedal is undeniable. The way it reacts and interacts with the fingers is excellent. Perhaps the best I have experienced so far with an overdrive/distortion pedal. It has also been designed to ground unwanted hum loops. I have tried it with both isolated power supply outputs and with a daisy chain, but basically found no difference. The articulation and note definition at high gain are remarkable. However, don't expect low-end growl or a slight coloration of your sound. The thickness and the lack of airiness or amplitude implies that this is the perfect weapon to rule over the meat frequencies of your band, much to the disgrace of guitarists. So, not bad at all if you ask me. This, added to how this pedal reacts and the level of distortion, is why I think this pedal falls more into the distortion category. In conclusion, not the kind of always-on preamp that you would use to gently warm up your sound or give it some growl, but rather a precise tool to add that extra thickness texture whenever needed. So last but not least, this is not something I usually do. I would like to suggest Stopko to rethink and de-thicken its overdrive/preamp pedal, or perhaps rename this one distortion. Like green distortion. It would be amazing if the Alatyr could be used as an always-on effect. Because, after all, Stopko is a brand that makes the bass sound the way it is. And if you can make it sound better by adding some always-on, less colored growl and grit to your sound, then yeah, that would be amazing. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give it a like and I'll see you in the next video. But please check out how this pedal sounds on its own right now. Bye.